Hey, welcome back, everyone. Got another suggested video to watch here. This is 40K Theory, um, Space Marines. So I think it's just going deeper into Space Marine lore. Let's jump into it. 40K Theories.
Hello everyone, this is Remlace from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, we will be taking a brief look at the Adeptus Astartes, or, as they are more commonly known, the Space Marines. As always, this is a brief overview.
Yeah, at first I thought Astartes was just some kind of term. I don't know. I thought it was made up. I didn't think it had anything to do with the lore of the game at all. I just thought it was like the title to that awesome cinematic, but it's neat now that I know that it is the name of the Space Marines.
And certain events and such will have their own in-depth videos dedicated to them within the future. So without further ado, let's begin.
While the enemies of the Emperor still draw breath, there can be no peace.
The Adeptus Astartes are genetically augmented transhuman super soldiers originally designed by the Emperor of Mankind himself. They are larger, stronger, and longer lived than regular humans, with heightened reflexes, a superior healing ability, and cognitive enhancement. They are one of the Imperium's most elite fighting forces, akin to militant monastic orders.
So I like to relate stuff to other media that I'm familiar with. So I would say in my mind how I'm thinking of this is these are all like every single one of these dudes are like Captain America, but on steroids.
And they are more commonly known to the people of the Imperium as the Emperor's Angels of Death. They are separated into various chapters, each with their own heraldry and unique cultural aspects. Some are brutal and savage berserkers from vicious death worlds, while others are stoic and disciplined, being the epitome of humanity's nature. Astartes are equipped with some of the finest weaponry and armour available to any of the Imperium's militant forces, and are a potent force upon the battlefield.
You know what I'm just noticing? I think I've noticed this before, but these are some fucking chonky ass magazines. Like, holy shit. Is it either this is like some big ass like shotgun slug rounds or it's a shotgun pistol? I don't know.
Whenever they make their presence known, they bring hope to the loyal servants of the Emperor, and fear into the enemies of
The shells themselves they look like normal. So maybe it just shoots like fucking 50 cal, like short rounds or something.
man.
True justice is quite simply the will of the Emperor.
The creation of the original Astartes began at the end of the Terran Unification Wars, prior to the advent of the Great Crusade. They are, in essence, the successors to the Emperor's original Thunder Warrior project, who were even larger and stronger than an Astartes, yet with much shorter lifespans.
Interesting. So there was like a prototype to these dudes. That's cool.
The genetic material used in the creation of the Astartes was harvested from samples taken from the infant forms of the Primarchs, the genetic sons of the Emperor himself. The Primarchs themselves would be spirited away from the Emperor's gene labs before they reached maturity by the Chaos Gods and scattered throughout the galaxy. These warriors, augmented with Primarch DNA, the first true Astartes, would be organized into 20 separate legions, which could be up to 100 times larger than a modern-day Space Marine chapter. These legions would travel.
What do you mean by modern day Space Marine chapter. Like, we have Space Marines. Maybe I'm being dumb. I don't know.
From terror across the galaxy to conquer and reclaim worlds in the name of the Emperor and the Imperium. Over the course of the Great Crusade, each Space Marine Legion would eventually be reunited with its respective Primarch, who would take command of the Legion. Two of the Primarchs and their respective legions would have their names and records erased from the annals of Imperial history for some unknown transgression. Who these Primarchs were and what crimes they may have committed is unlikely to ever come to light. Within the early years of M31, a civil war known as the Horus Heresy would erupt, where fully half of the remaining Space Marine legions would rebel against the Emperor and side with the treacherous war master of the Imperium, Horus Lupercal.
So I keep seeing and hearing Horus. I believe Horus Heresy or something like that is the author to the like 50 books on the subject. And I think one of the main Space Marine, or like even the like God King guy, I think his name is Horus. And then the Civil War is similarly named. So just interested in like what's going on with that.
This civil war would devastate the nascent Imperium and result in several.
This guy's dripped the fuck out. All that gold, and he's got a flaming fucking sword. I'm here for it. Oh yeah, he looks sick as fuck.
Several Primarchs being slain over the course of the conflict, and it would end with the Emperor being mortally wounded and interred into the life support systems of the Golden Throne. It was following the events of the Horus Heresy that the Primarch Rabute Guilliman would pen a text known as the Codex Astartes, which would restructure the Space Marine legions into smaller chapters. Some chapters would retain their original legion name and heraldry, while the others would take all new names and heraldry and would become known as successor chapters. Guilliman's reason for splitting the legions was to ensure that no one man could have the power that Horus himself had, and in theory prevent such a civil war from ever happening again.
Yeah, you don't want to have more than one God King, I'll tell you that.
Fenris breeds heroes like a bar breeds drunks, loud, proud, and spoiling for a fight.
The creation of a Space Marine is a long and time-consuming process, which takes approximately a decade to fully complete.
This is, again, really weird. I've seen this a couple times. Maybe it is just like really well animated here, but this, like, everything other than this dude's face looks hand-drawn. His face is like almost, if not photoreal. It looks out of place.
Astartes have been known to recruit potential aspirants from a number of different sources, including from young gang members from the depths of hive worlds or from the vicious tribes of feral death worlds. Aspirants are taken at a relatively young age, typically between 10 to 12 Terran Standard years of age.
Oh, hell yeah. We're getting into like their training and selection and shit. I love this shit. I really wish that like Star Wars would do some sort of either series or movies or something about like the Jedi Academy. I love the training for things. I don't know why. I'm just really into it.
Each Space Marine chapter will have their own unique recruitment process, and those aspirants who are chosen will be forced to undergo certain trials to prove their worthiness to be made into an Astartes. The aspirants of the Raven Guard, for example, will be tasked with capturing and killing a Kiavaran Raven with their bare hands to prove their skill, while aspirants
What is that they had to kill? Van Raven?
of the Blood Angels must cross a vast and dangerous desert to reach an area known as the Place of Challenge to prove their worth. If these aspirants...
How big is this desert, though? I feel like it must be long enough for them to have to employ some kind of like survival skills, right?
prove themselves worthy, then over the course of the next 6 to 10 years, they are implanted with each of the organs unique to Astartes' physiology. Once the implantation process has begun, these aspirants become known to the chapter as neophytes, and their training begins. As their training progresses, these neophytes will typically spend time within the scout company under the tutelage of a veteran sergeant, although this varies with some chapters. It is here in the scout company that the neophytes will be trained in the art of war and how to utilize the weaponry and equipment of the chapter. Upon the battlefield, they will be used to perform reconnaissance and utilize guerrilla tactics against the enemy. As more and more of the genetic augmentations are implanted into the neophytes, they will eventually become known as initiates to the rest of the chapter. When the initiates are deemed ready, which is roughly between 16 to 18 years of age, they will receive their final implant, the Black Carapace, and become a fully fledged battle brother of the chapter. Once they become a battle brother,
He's might explain it in a second, but the Black Carapace, I have no idea what that is.
Astartes will move from the scout company into one of the other 9 companies within the chapter, with the exception of the first company, which is purely for the most skilled and honoured veteran warriors of the chapter. Once assigned to a company, these battle brothers will then be attached to the chapter's Devastator squads and will be tasked with calling targets to the veteran battle brothers of the squad.
I love whatever gun this dude's sporting. I love glowing shit, and especially blue. Blue is my favorite color.
Who will be the ones utilising the heavy weaponry typical of a Devastator squad. After gaining some more experience, some of the younger members of the Devastators may find themselves transferred into one of the chapter's many assault squads, where they learn the art of melee and meet the enemy head-on in close combat. Once a battle brother has mastered the weaponry and tactics of the Scout, Devastator and Assault squads, then they can become part of a tactical squad. These tactical squads form the backbone of the chapter's military strength, and thanks to their training are considered to be jacks of all trades, able to perform well in any given situation upon the field of battle. A number of aspirants, however, will be selected and trained to perform specialist tasks within the chapter. Some will be sent to Mars to undergo the training to become a Tech Marine, where they will learn the tenets of the machine cult of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and gain knowledge on how to repair the chapter's vehicles and equipment.
Oh, well, I mean, having a robotic arm on your back, literally just having a third arm would be fucking nice. But I assume they also use that to repair things. That's really neat, though.
Others will be sent to the Apothecarium, where they will be trained to become apothecaries, medics and healers who are responsible for future gene seed implantation and recovery. And others still will be selected to become chaplains, who maintain the chapter's cultural beliefs and inspire their brothers to great acts of valor in the name of their emperor and primarch. If they are found to have psychic potential, then these aspirants may find themselves selected to join the ranks of the Librarius, becoming trained as a librarian, warrior psychers of immense skill, discipline, and knowledge.
Now, if there's ever, I know there's been speak of it. I think there almost was one, but if there was a 40k MMO, I would definitely be one of these guys. Fucking like some sort of spell blade, like using magic and a sword, and or a gun as well. Maybe I'd be super into that. That'd be sweet.
If a hero of the chapter suffers wounds that are too grievous to be treated by the chapter's apothecaries, they may find themselves entombed within the sarcophagus of a dreadnought, a robotic construct that is effectively a walking tank. Within a dreadnought, an Astartes can live on and continue to serve the chapter for millennia to come.
Oh, okay, so there's plug his brain into this automaton fucking mech thing. That's kind of dope.
One of the most notable in this regard is Bjorn the Fell-Handed of the Space Wolves chapter, who fought alongside his Primarch during the events of the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. Unlike the rest of the Imperium, who either worship the Emperor as a god or follow the tenets of the cult Mechanicus, the majority of Space Marine chapters hold true to their ancient customs and beliefs. The tenets of each chapter cult will vary from chapter to chapter, and some can be extremely barbaric and savage. Regardless of their own cultural beliefs, all Space Marine chapters venerate the Emperor as the master of mankind, and will fight to the death to defend his Imperium and his subjects.
Do not fail your brothers. Though their bodies die, their spirit must return to the chapter. That is your charge.
As mentioned earlier, the basis of an Astartes genetic augmentation comes from the genetic material or gene seed derived from their respective Primarch. As a result of this, chapters that are derived from the DNA of different Primarchs will display different traits from one another, which can be as minor as behavioural quirks or as major as fully fledged genetic markers. Following the events of the Horus Heresy, only the gene seed of the 9 Loyalist Primarchs is officially used in the process of creating successor chapters, but there have been rumours and speculation that some chapters have utilised the gene seed of some of the traitor Primarchs. When an aspirant begins the process of being transformed into an Astartes, a total of 19 separate organs are implanted into them if they are to become a standard Astartes, with an additional 3 implants in the case of Primaris Marines, which shall be covered later on. While some of these organs are fully functional immediately after implantation, some will only become viable after certain other organs are implanted, or through a series of chemical treatments and hypnotherapy. The first of these organs to be implanted is the secondary heart, which not only functions as a backup for the Astartes' own natural heart, but this organ can also help an Astartes survive in low oxygen environments and maintain blood flow.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I guess if you have 2 hearts, you can either use your oxygen more effectively or pump oxygen better through your body, something like that.
The second is the osmodula, which helps reinforce an Astartes skeleton with ceramic materials that is drawn from the Astartes' own diet. In addition, this organ causes the bones to grow longer and thicker, accounting for the Astartes' increased size.
That makes a lot of sense. Imagine that. Wouldn't that be cool if like you could eat something and it would just make your bones stronger? Then people could actually be just thick boned.
As well as altering the rib cage into a series of interlocking plates to better protect the organs within. The third is the biscopia, which stimulates the growth of extra muscle mass, enhancing an Astartes' physical strength. Fourth is the hemastamen, which increases the amount of hemoglobin within the Astartes' bloodstream, making it more efficient at transporting oxygen throughout the body.
You know what? So I made a thumbnail with this image, and I was trying to read these, and I was just like, is this just in some sort of 40K language? But I think they're either that it is 40K language. These actually relate to like actual organs, or they just like made up the names for them. But it's all coming together now.
The fifth is the Laramens organ, which is implanted into the chest and connected to the circulatory system. It secretes special Laramen cells, which attach to the leukocytes within the blood if the Astartes is injured. These cells will then quickly seal off almost any wound that the Astartes has suffered, giving an Astartes their remarkable resilience. Sixth is the catalepsia node, which is implanted within an Astartes' brain. This organ controls the body's circadian rhythm, and allows the Astartes to switch off certain portions of their brain in response to sleep deprivation, allowing an Astartes to remain awake for up to 2 weeks straight at a time.
That's insane, because I don't know if you guys have looked into it, but like sleep deprivation does some crazy shit to you. I think it happens pretty fast too. Like within a couple days of no sleep, like you are an absolute, you're just out of your mind. You're hallucinating things. It's not good.
The 7th organ is the preomnor. This organ acts as a secondary stomach, which neutralizes poisonous materials before they enter the stomach, rendering an Astartes immune to ingesting most types of toxins. 8th is the omophagia, which is implanted within the spinal cord and connected to the stomach. This allows an Astartes to experience the memories of the dead by eating their flesh.
What the fuck? That's useful. That's weird. What the hell?
9th is the multilung, which allows an Astartes to breathe toxic gases, atmospheres with low oxygen density, and even water by shutting off their natural lungs in favor of this 3rd lung.
Okay, I knew that they had 3 lungs just from comments, but I didn't realize that it was like a multifunctional lung that could breathe water and like in other atmospheres and shit. That's cool.
The 10th organ is the oculobe, which when used in conjunction with the correct stimuli and therapy, increases the growth of the retinal cells within the eye, giving Astartes the ability to see perfectly in low-light environments, as well as enhancing their eyesight to a level far superior than that of unaugmented humans. The 11th is the liman's ear. This organ completely replaces an Astartes' natural ear for one that not only enhances an Astartes' hearing, allowing them to filter and enhance specific sounds, but also renders an Astartes immune to motion sickness.
I fucking wish, guys. I have the worst motion sickness, and I just wanted to point out, so, like, special forces and just anyone that's on the battlefield, they nowadays get, I forget the actual company, but it's these headsets that they have microphones on them, and they're normal like shooting range headsets, but with the microphones you can hear what's going on around you, and then they're programmed to like just cut out, like live, basically edit out gunshots. I think what happens is it just turns the mic off, and then you just have the protective sound dampening from the headset, but they basically just have it built into their ears, and that's fucking cool as shit.
And unable to be made dizzy. 12th is the Susan membrane, which allows an Astartes to enter a state of suspended animation, either consciously or as an instinctive response to severe trauma, allowing them to survive for centuries even after suffering the most grievous of wounds.
They can survive for centuries? How, I guess they might get to it, but how long is their like normal lifespan? That seems insane.
The 13th organ is the melanchromic organ. This controls the amount of melanin within the skin of an Astartes, affording them protection from not only intense sunlight by darkening the skin when needed, but also many types of radiation, even that which would kill regular humans outright.
Again, super useful.
14th is the oolitic kidney, which, in conjunction with the secondary heart, filters the bloodstream of an Astartes at rapid pace to purge their system of toxins, giving them protection from most types of poisons and venoms. If an Astartes is afflicted with a lethal dose of toxins, the oolitic kidney can perform an emergency detoxification of an Astartes' bloodstream, but this will render them temporarily unconscious due to the rapid pace at which blood is pumped through the body. 15th is the neuroglottis, which heightens an Astartes' sense of taste to an extreme degree, allowing them to identify numerous chemical components by taste alone.
Oh, I was like, how is that going to be helpful? But goddamn, they're just like the strongest motherfucking detectives around.
And even track down an enemy by taste in a similar manner to a Jacobson's organ found within snakes. The 16th organ is the mucranoid, which coats the skin of an Astartes with a waxy secretion to protect them from extreme temperature, and even provides limited protection from exposure to the vacuum of space.
Oh fuck, they got like basically just auto applying sunblock for space.
17th are the Betcher's glands, which allows an Astartes to spit a potent and highly acidic venom. The penultimate organs to be implanted
What? They're venomous too? Jesus.
are the progenoid glands. These glands are arguably the most important of all the gene seed implants, for they will absorb genetic material from the other implants over the course of a decade until they become gene seed. These organs will then serve as a repository storing the data of all the other organs within an Astartes, so if an Astartes is slain in battle, the gene seed can be recovered and returned to the chapter, where new organs can be grown and implanted into new aspirants, keeping the chapter alive. The final organ is the black carapace, which is implanted under the skin of an Astartes. This carapace allows an Astartes to perfectly interface with its power armor at a neurological level,
That's really cool.
allowing it to become, effectively, a part of their bodies.
Yeah, imagine like being able to automatically clear a jam in your rifle. Like I feel like that's the kind of shit you could probably do with this thing. Like without having to, actually interface with it. You just like think about it and it does it.
However, over the course of the last 10,000 years, the gene seed stock of the various Space Marine chapters has begun to slowly degenerate. Flaws within the gene seed are becoming more and more commonplace. Some of these flaws are relatively minor, such as the Death Spectres chapter suffering a defective melanchromic organ, resulting in the warriors of the chapter suffering from albinism.
Wait, so with them having all these implants, could they not just get another set of ears? I mean, what doesn't make sense. Why would they just be always like forever deaf? Or is it like a choice kind of thing?
Others are much more drastic, such as the Black Dragons chapter suffering from a hyperactive osmodular organ, resulting in the warriors of the chapter developing bony horns and crests as well as blade-like protrusions from their arms.
Okay, that's just fucking badass. Be a man rhino and or Baraka.
To monitor the stability and purity of the gene seed, each chapter is ordered to send roughly 5% of their gene seed stock at regular intervals as a tithe to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Once the tithes have been received, the Adeptus Mechanicus will conduct purity checks upon it to determine if the mutations within the gene seed break the bounds of tolerance of genetic purity. If a chapter's gene seed is deemed too flawed or too impure, then that chapter will be destroyed along with any and all of their gene seed stock.
Offer the incantation of activation, speak forth the litany of retribution, and deliver unto our enemy the wrath of the Omnissiah.
In addition to a standard Astartes, there are also what are known as Primaris Space Marines. These particular Astartes have their origins set during the events of the Horus Heresy, with the Raptor project conducted by the Primarch Corvus Corax of the Raven Guard Legion, which failed thanks to the actions of Alpha Legion double agents. But following the events of the Horus Heresy, the Primarch Rabute Gilliman instructed the Archmagus Dominus of the newly restructured Adeptus Mechanicus, Belisarius Cawl, to begin the creation of a new breed of Astartes that would aid the Imperium in its darkest hour. Primaris Marines are physically larger and stronger than a typical Astartes, and in addition boast a gene seed that is far more stable.
If they couldn't get any more strong. Bigger and stronger, yes.
With only a 0.001% chance of genetic deviation. This stability...
Oh, I see Ultra on his pauldron here. Are these the Ultramarines I've heard whispers about?
Has also been able to seemingly eliminate some of the most incurable and infamous of genetic flaws, such as the Black Rage within the gene seed of the Blood Angels. As well as having enhanced strength, size, and gene seed stability, Primaris Marines also feature 3 additional genetic implants over standard Astartes. These are the sinew coils, which reinforce the sinews within the Astartes body with durametallic cabling that also enhances the host's strength and acts as another form of internal protection, the Magnificat, which enhances the growth rate of a Primaris Marine's body as well as the efficiency of their internal organs, and finally the Belisarian Furnace.
Again, glowing blue. I'm all about this. I want this. If this was real, I would have it. It might be.
Which expels a series of
Somewhere.
stimulants in the events of extreme stress or physical trauma, which also aids with the regeneration of any wounds that the Astartes has received. Many Space Marine chapters have been reinforced with this new and improved breed of Astartes, and even entire chapters have been founded that are comprised entirely of Primaris Marines, giving the Imperium some much needed reinforcement. However, it should also be noted that while some chapters welcome these new Astartes with open arms, some chapters have outright refused Primaris reinforcement for various reasons. And that concludes this edition.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say one of those reasons is like pride. I feel like I get a lot of pride vibes from these guys. Like they don't want someone bigger and stronger coming in to like back them up. It makes sense.
Edition of 40k lore for newcomers. If you like this video, consider supporting us on Patreon.
Alright, I don't think there's anything else at the end of this.
See you
Let me just
soon.
make sure. The credits.
Video.
Alright, yeah, thank you again for another amazing suggestion. And if, yeah, as always, if you guys have anything else you think I would enjoy reacting to, go ahead and just leave it in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to it. But I'll see y'all in the next one. Thank